Darren, how are you feeling? It's the morning after the night before. How have you sort of processed last night's game?
Yeah, I watched some of it on the way home, and it was a poor performance, lacking in quality, in aggression, really. And the first half was, apart from this, obviously the goal, which is the most disappointing, to lose a goal like that when someone's docked in the wall, I think was really disappointing. They didn't really have much. We had obviously one or two opportunities without carving them out ourselves. Really, the pass back to Ricky, we should have done better. The one where Tom was hit a volley and it's been blocked. But it was just to be honest, quite a passive performance from us. The movement wasn't sharp enough. Now, whether this was because obviously you look at performance and then you ask yourself questions why the performance was like that, rather than just putting it to bed. You have to have more detail to that. But was it the rustiness? Was it the fact that a lot of the players hadn't been playing on a regular basis? But certainly the thing most lacking for me was the aggression and the intensity, which was probably the most disappointing aspect, given that there was so much freshness and what I felt was a real opportunity for some of the players to show what they can do.
Yeah, I guess that must be one of the most frustrating aspects of it. It was an opportunity for people to stake a claim for a starting place, and you must feel that very few actually have done that.
Yeah, well, you come away from it thinking, okay, well, who's now really pushing for a place on Saturday, which, was one of the main things I was looking for. Obviously, the main thing was to get to the semi-final of our tournament. I hold highly and want to do well in. And that's another it was a missed opportunity for us last night to get to one game from Wembley, but also a missed opportunity perhaps for some players to really step up. Especially, I mean, look, sometimes you can't be judged on one game. That would never be the case. You can't judge players on one game, especially when they've not played on a regular basis. But what I was looking at was a desire and the passion to really say to me, look, I deserve a starting place. Now there was some. I thought Blake Tracy did very well for us. I thought our defenders were absolutely fine. But after that, there wasn't really much going on, to be honest.
It is quite slightly unfortunate though, Darren, in the fact that in one passage of play, the game sort of swung really. I know you were already a goal behind, but you have Ricky J. Jones at one end of the pitch, and I'm not quite sure still how it got there, but it hits the post and then they go straight down the other end and get their second goal. So is there a slight element of disappointment and frustration that could have gone better for you?
Well, yeah, but it's a one-off match, especially with just, cup football. These things are really pivotal in games. Like I just said, one shot at goal, really one testing shot. I can't remember much else from Tranmere in the first half. I can't remember Christie having anything to do of any note, really. A player ducks out the wall, it goes in. That's a crucial point of the game because they've then got the lead. Moments like in the first half where it's been chased down by Ricky and I think it's come off the keeper and hit the post and somehow not gone in. And then that was the key moment or key minute in the game where we flashed the ball across. I still don't know how it's not gone into the net, to be honest. And they've gone up the pitch and got the deciding second goal. And these are the things, the crucial moments in any game, but in particularly cup football, that does make the difference from going through and not. Obviously, we didn't.
Was there a feeling that you could have had more than the one penalty that you were actually given? You could have had one in normal time?
No, I didn't feel that, Ben, to be honest. I thought the penalty I was right behind it, was probably the correct decision. But I have seen them not being given. But I felt, he did take more down. But even the one we got, I thought it was quite a soft penalty.
Vital minutes though for some of the players. You mentioned Mo Issa, but also positive, I guess, to see Ricky J. Jones been given some minutes.
Yeah, well, I think it was important to change the team. But I make that clear. I did think about, should I go with the more irregular team again? But after watching Saturday back, my decision was made. I spoke about that on Monday about the team on Saturday. They looked very jaded. It was just a game too far for, I think, also doubling up with the freshness that Shrewsbury had. So I made my decision on the back of watching that, the changes I made. Bearing in mind, Tranmere did make 6 changes as well. It was clear that both managers felt the league was more important, but still wanted to get through the tie. So I feel the team that started should have enough to win last night. I've no doubt about that. Otherwise, I wouldn't have played them. And like I said earlier, we cannot be judged, or players cannot be judged on one game. Players can't be written off on one game. The disappointing thing was the lack of intensity and urgency. I think the urgency went up to a different level when Sammy came on, and that's what was required at the start of the game. So, yeah, that was a disappointing aspect for me. Also, the fact that, again, we didn't create many chances, but that will be the case if you don't play with urgency. You're never going to get your players, attacking players, up the pitch enough. You're never going to get your wing backs 1v1 enough, because you don't play with enough urgency and tempo. And I know our pitch is bad, but it's a different type of pitch. Theirs was very, very bobbly. You can actually play in our pitch because it's flatter. You can play through it, even though there's areas that are clearly a mess. But it was a different type of pitch, so you had to really concentrate on your touch and your pass. And we certainly didn't do that well enough. But they seemed to deal with it a lot better than us. But like I say, I thought the first half there was nothing in it. Second half, I thought they played the better football than us.
Obviously, this week as well, Darren, we've had the transfer window close. What was your view? Because it's very, very rare for Peterborough United to go through a whole window and not add players.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I don't know what the perception is out there that I could have brought 6 or 7 players in. It certainly wasn't the case. The clear meetings we had over the course of January were that we had a biggish squad, a squad we assembled in the summer. We clearly had made decisions on if some went out, some could come in. And that was always the case. It had to be a case of some out to bring some in. Obviously, we had the situation with Sariki, and we had to keep an eye on that. We made our number 1 target to replace him very, very clear and very, very early. But as the more January went by, Ben, it soon became clearer that Sariki wouldn't be going anywhere. So I think it was before the Charlton game, we had another small meeting, and it was at that point we said, right, it'll be the squad we've got. And that's it. There was 1 or 2 we thought might go out, but didn't. Lewis Reed, there was interest. If he had gone, we would have replaced him. But it certainly was a case of not being able to go out and get 2 or 3 players in. That was never the case. It was always a case of 1 out and 1 in. And then over the course of the weekend, just gone, Ryan Broom, had quite a few chats with him because there was quite a bit of interest in Ryan. And given the situation with Ryan was he wasn't getting much football, we spoke, and he made it clear he wanted to go out and get some football. And I had to be fair to that because I think I've explained the reasons behind that. And it was only on, I think, Monday at 1 o'clock that it was suggested to me that if Ryan goes, I can get someone in. By that time, it's too late. It was too late. And also, I think you've got to be mindful of the policy of the football club, as the owners are firmly behind, are well driven by these young players. They want, I think 3 academy young players in the squad. They want young players in the first team, 18, which is great. That's how I've always worked. So to bring in a Premier League loan to replace one of our own younger players, whether at the moment they're ready to play week in, week out, is not the policy of the football club. So, we had to be mindful of that as well. So it was never a case of me being able to go and get 3, 4 players. And it wasn't like last January, Ben. We weren't in a position to go and get a Jack Taylor or a Sammy Smodic of that like on loan. Financially, we're not in that position, understandably. And also the size of the squad. And also probably the main reason is no one left. No one left.
But you must be very happy with the squad that you have in place.
Yeah, it was the squad we assembled at the start of the season, and like I say, once you get to January, again, you can reflect on how the season's gone in terms of making decisions. but like I say, I know it can be deemed unusual for Peterborough to not make signings in January. But I don't think it's that unusual for me. I can't recall me ever suggesting that we want to bring in 5 and 6 players. I try to assemble our squad in the summer. Last season was slightly different because Jack Taylor was a player we'd been after for a long time. We felt if we waited, we'd lose him in the summer. Sammy Smorich was a player. I think I explained this. Brown, Smorich and Taylor, we tried to sign the previous summer. And when they became available again in January, we jumped at it. This season, that wasn't the case. It was never going to be the case financially, and it was never going to be the case because we didn't think we needed it. So, that is the understanding of it all, and also the fact that the policy of the club is we want to develop young players and get them through, and that's something that I've always maintained and always wanted to do.
Yeah, worth mentioning that there were 3 players from the academy in the starting lineup last night, so that's obviously a great reflection on the club. Moving forward to Saturday, Darren, it's quite an interesting affair given what happened at Crewe earlier in the season. You must be very keen to make amends for that.
Yeah, very. It was a poor performance, and it was just on the back of a great run. We just had the break, if I remember, and it looked like at times we were still on our break. So it was a poor performance. The players know that. So obviously you play everyone twice a season. If I can get a similar reaction to what I thought was a poor performance to Milton Keynes when we played them at home, then I'll be delighted. But no, we go into it. Look, we go into it with very strong home form. Still the best home form, I think, in the league. I think I'm right in saying that. We've had 1 league defeat, and I can't remember how many. And before Saturday, we were going great. And over the course of this season, it is slightly different to most seasons, where because of the run of games, because there's so many games, you're going to have ups and downs, and it's how you deal with that. And Saturday we knew the performance wasn't there. Last night I was looking for a reaction. We didn't get one. And tomorrow morning I need a reaction. I've already told the players that. So I'm sure we'll get one on Saturday, and it's a game we're looking forward to. We've managed to get a bit of freshness into some of the players, which was important. Frankie Kent will be available again. Jack Taylor, I'm pretty certain, will be available again. So I think the freshness, both mentally and physically, will have done those 2 well. Added to the obviously a bit of freshness. We didn't play a lot of players 90 minutes last night.